What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Hope you're all doing very well. I want to talk about damage from a healer's perspective in Mythic Plus today. I've been accumulating a bunch of DPS items essentially on my character, on my pally now, and I've really been able to finally bring my damage numbers up to where I want them to be. Now, I know some of you really hate doing damage as a healer. I understand that. I'm not saying that you must do this. In the higher key levels, it is pretty essential. That's just the way World of Warcraft is. I know some of you hate that, and I'm sorry. But there are sort of easy ways to do damage that don't really require you to put in like that much effort, I wouldn't say. And a lot of it is accomplished through your gear. And right now, if you guys, I did a video yesterday talking about this, but right now, this week in World of Warcraft, there is a quest you can do in Valdrakken. It's the guy by the fountain here, and you do 4 Mythic Plus dungeons, and you get 2 extra Boullions as a reward. These Boullions here, the antique bronze Boullions. Then you can go buy an extra item. So I went and bought myself a Vakesh, and this is the first item for healers that is really, really strong. If you're like a one-handed user, this will start pumping a lot of damage for you. The other big DPS item that I have on my pally is my Ferox Tainted Rage Heart and Kyrakas, and I don't even have a good Kyrakas yet. I know people rate this trinket very poorly on like Wowhead and stuff. I was hearing somebody had a comment about that in my other video, but this thing's actually really strong. So just don't listen to people. They're completely wrong. Let's see how much damage my items did on my Holy Pally in this dungeon. 10% from Ferox Tainted Rage. Vakesh did 8, so we're at 18% basically. And then Kyrakas did 7, so we're at 25%, right? I think I'm doing that math right. And then another 3% from the Rage Heart. So it's about 28%, almost 30% of our damage is coming from our items, okay? It's coming from our items. The rest of it is, you know, Consecration is a huge part of it, which is very passive. I just put Consecration down and I'm doing damage. Make sure I keep putting it down. Now, there is a little combo that you can pull off with your Divine Toll plus Daybreak, and I will show you that in a second. But I just wanted to really highlight that I did 102k overall. I did have an Augvoker, okay? I did have an Augvoker. You know, I'm going to be upfront about that. But this damage is really good from a Holy Paladin perspective. Just a healing perspective in general, this is actually really, really good. And you can see how much the items are actually contributing themselves besides, you know, the rest of my damage. And if you're trying to do more damage as a Holy Paladin, I would highly recommend that you spend your Boullions on Ferox Tainted Rage Heart and Vakesh. These 2 items themselves will give you tons and tons of damage, okay? It's actually really crazy. Here's the combo that you want to do for more DPS as a Holy Paladin. You're basically just going to do Divine Toll into Daybreak, okay? Just one sec. And then you're going to fill with Shield of the Righteouses, okay? So we're going to pop Wings. You want to also cast Holy Prism on yourself or on a friendly ally, and it will go to them, and then it will bounce damage onto enemies. So we're going to run in here. I'm going to pop Wings plus Consecration, okay? Then I'm just going to do a Holy Shock into a Holy Shock. I should do a Judgment, I guess. Then we're going to do a Shield of the Righteous into Divine Toll into Daybreak, okay? And then we're going to do Shield of the Righteous, Holy Shock, Holy Shock, Holy Shock, Shield of the Righteous. Holy Shock, Holy Shock, Holy Shock, Shield of the Righteous, Shield of the Righteous. I'm getting free procs. I'll do a Hammer of Wrath. I didn't even do my Ferox Rage Heart. I should have done that earlier. Anyway, we're doing it now. We'll keep going. Shield of the Righteous, Shield of the Righteous, Hammer of Wrath. I'll do my Holy Prism on myself. That does more damage. Then we're tab targeting with our Holy Shocks. At least I like to do that because it helps to spread the Glimmer debuff, right? Whenever you press Holy Shock, it'll do a Glimmer proc as well. So you want to keep doing that. Spread these around. Shield of the Righteous, another free Shield of the Righteous. Judgment gives us Wings. There's Hammer of Wrath. Okay, we got our Prism back. Sorry, I'm losing my brain. Then we'll go Shield of the Righteous. Keep Consecration down. Here's a Divine Toll again. Shield of the Righteous. Another Holy Shock, Shield of the Righteous. That is kind of how it goes. We can do one more Daybreak here in a second. Another Holy Prism on myself. Keep my Consecration down, and you can see we're kind of sustaining 150k right now, which is pretty good. We'll do Daybreak. That's going to do a lot of damage. Triple Holy Shock into Shield of the Righteous. Triple Holy Shock, Shield of the Righteous, Shield of the Righteous. Triple Holy Shock, and do another one, and then we're done, okay? That's how that kind of looks. So yeah, if you're wondering, I did my Ferox Standard Raid chart a little bit late, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to show up there anyway. Vikesh didn't end up doing too much damage right there because the proc rate on Vikesh is better over a long dungeon run. As you can see in the Azure Vault plus 10 that we did, Vikesh damage goes way up, right? So it's important just to understand kind of the rotation there. But if you're trying to do more damage as a Holy Paladin, this is a way that you can do it, okay? And it's important just to understand how to do more damage because it's going to really help you in the higher keys. You really do need it in the higher keys. And it's not something that like a lot of people want to do. I understand that, but I do just want to make sure I highlight that if you want to do that damage, it's there. Blessing of Summer is also a massive part of your damage. And I just put my Blessing of Summer on a stereo. Watch my damage here. 200,000 already. Up to 300k here. 300k DPS from a healer is great. It's great. It's not probably as good as a Mistweaver Monk. It's not as good as a Resto Druid. I don't think it's probably not as good as even a Holy Priest. But I promise you, you can pump numbers, guys. This is 350k right out of the gates here. Okay. And actually, my Vikesh weapon didn't even proc here at all. If my Vikesh weapon had procced there, it would have been like probably almost 400k or 300 and yeah, it would have been almost 400k, I bet. So just keep that in mind. But over the course of this dungeon, it's not difficult to do damage, guys. It's really not. I'm able to really pump as a pally, even if I have to do stupid in-corpse with my repentance, which I have to do frequently throughout this dungeon. It's really annoying. And we're still healing people. You know, it's not that we're doing no healing. It's possible to pull this off. It's possible to pull this off on a Holy Pally. If you didn't think Holy Pally was able to do any damage, that's been one of the biggest sort of things that I've heard said about Holy Paladin is that they do no damage. And I'm doing 200k right now. I mean, that is more than enough. It is just not true. And honestly, I'm a little bit sick and tired of people saying it. So this is why I wanted to put out this video, was to really just show you guys that, hey, you can actually pump damage as a Holy Paladin if that's something you want to do. Once again, if you're doing keys in the range of, you know, plus 10 right now, like a plus 10 key right now to like a plus up to like a plus 15 key, I would say it's really not that relevant that you're doing this much damage. Okay, you should probably do some damage, but it's not important for you to be pumping 350 400k on an AoE pack. I promise you, once you get to the plus 15 mark of this season, which again is like a plus 25 of the last season, remember the comparison there. Once you get to that level, I do think you need to start contributing. You really do. Especially if you're running like an Augvoker in your group, you really do need to be contributing, because the Augvoker is giving you that damage buff that you know, they're giving you intellect, and they're giving you some extra damage buffs on top, things like prescience and just the other procs that happen. So if you don't do any damage at all, you're just wasting the damage of the Augvoker. So especially if you have an Augvoker, you need to be doing damage. But again, I promise you really don't need it until you get to like the plus 15 key mark. On boss fights, we're doing a little bit less damage because we have to focus more on healing. This is tyrannical week, so the bosses hit really hard. I'm still doing 80k. I'm happy with this, guys, and you should be too. If you're doing like 80k on a boss fight, that is plenty of damage. Okay, promise you, it's very, very good. I ended up doing 72k by the end there. Let's go to this next pack. This is another big AoE pack. You can see right out of the gates, remember, Divine Toll Daybreak. Do it with your wings, okay? I press wings, I get one Shield of the Righteous off, and then I'm pressing Divine Toll right now with my Ferox Trinket, okay? Plus into Daybreak. There's my Ferox Trinket. I'll back up and press Daybreak in a second here to trigger all the glimmers. That's what's doing all your damage. I don't know why I didn't do it yet. I guess I'm stacking Link. I'm not doing this correctly, but even still, I'm doing 200k. So again, it just doesn't require. There we go. There goes Daybreak. Finally, it was a little bit late, but the glimmers will still be on the enemies. Glimmers last for like 30 seconds. So even if you do Daybreak a little bit later, it's okay. But you kind of want to try and sync up your Daybreak and your Divine Toll. Obviously, they work really, really well together. And again, we're doing 200k here. This is a really, really good contribution. If you're able to sustain these kinds of DPS numbers, you will really contribute to shortening the length of the key. And you're going to see that by the time we get to the end of this key. I promise you guys. Here's again, we're doing 230k right here. Once again, it's not that hard to do It's my equipment is doing a lot of the work passively, and then I'm just pressing Divine Toll Daybreak, and I'm consuming all my holy shocks. I promise you, that's it. I'm obviously every single holy power spender, I'm using Shield of the Righteous, right? That's how I'm doing extra damage as well. But it's like Divine Toll, Daybreak, Shield of the Righteous. That's kind of all you have to do. Keep your consecrations down, and then your passive, you know, equipment's going to do the rest of the damage there. If you're able to pull off these kinds of numbers, it is significant in cutting down the time. You'll shave minutes off of the eventual dungeon timer. You just will. There's just, you know, because the mobs die faster. Everybody has to use less cooldowns, so they have their cooldowns up for the next pack. It's really, really good. If you don't know how to skip this part right here on the Azure Vault, if you don't have a skip, like I'm gonna die if I jump off the edge as a paladin, right? I could bubble, but that's a huge waste of bubble. Use your parasail. You can get a parasail from Shadowlands. That's what I have. There's also a parasail from this expansion. I forget how you get it, but the bottom line is go get yourself a parasail and you can just float down like this. Now, Astero ends up gripping me here, which was nice, but I would have floated down on my own there with the parasail. So just know if you jump into a Mythic Plus with a pug and the tank just like jumps off the edge there and you're like, oh my God, how do I do it? Just get your parasail out. Put it on one of your action buttons and be ready to go. And then you can just jump off the edge with the parasail equip. Make sure you channel the parasail first before, otherwise you'll just jump off the edge and die. Again, we're doing 130k here. Not the best, but this next pack, a little bit of a smaller pack here. 130k. Once again, I'm happy with those numbers. These small packs, it's hard to get up past 200k. But you know, you can consistently get 130k or you know, this is with an Augvoker once again, so that might only be like 100k. Okay, I might be missing about, I might be getting buffed by about 30k DPS there, something like that. But it's very, very strong. We're off to the races here on Azureblade. Once again, I'm doing 150k right now, more than the tank, which is really strong. Like, it's just a huge contribution of damage if you can pull that off. See how quickly the bosses died? This is Tyrannical week. The boss already down to 60% HP. Pretty good. We get to the intermission. We zoom through this. It just helps everything, guys. It helps everything go more smoothly in the dungeon. When everything can die more quickly. When I'm adding 10 million damage, almost 11 million damage on a boss fight, I promise you it's going to make the dungeon go quicker, and it's going to save people's cooldowns. I think especially the healer, which is me, and the tank. The tank will have to use less damage mitigation buttons, you know, and I'll have to use less healing cooldowns, which is just fantastic. It's so good to be able to push the dungeon quicker so that they don't have to use that, because they're going to need it on the next pack, or, you know, whatever dangerous pull they're doing next. If they have to sit around over and over again, it kind of ruins it for them, right? It ruins all those GCDs. So that's about it. We can keep pushing here, but there's just, it's the same. It's more of the same. It's 130k there. It's 130k here. It's up to 200k somewhere else. You can see my number isn't really changing too much, which is great. That's where I'm able to sort of maintain my damage. And then on the boss fights, I'm hovering around 80k DPS. I will show you my damage here right now. We can see, once again, if we look at the Azure Vault plus 10, that I just did, Consecration is my highest damage. Shield of the Righteous, because I pressed it so many times and it does a lot of AoE damage. Glimmer of Light. Glimmer of Light's doing lots of damage because we're doing Divine Toll into Daybreak, right? You're doing a proc on all those glimmers, and you're really doing a lot of damage there. And then, of course, we have the Trinket, my Blessing of Summer damage, Bakesh, my Kyraka's damage. Remember, Kyraka's also heals a lot. So does so does the stupid Farak trinket, but Kyraka's, you know, has a lot of healing as well, so that's why I think it's such a valuable trinket. 7% of my healing, 7% of my damage. That's a fantastic trinket for healers. There you go. That's the breakdown, guys. I just wanted to show you that really quickly and help you guys to understand how I'm doing damage as a Holy Paladin. And remember, you don't need to do this much damage if you're doing keys that I would say are like plus 15 or below. Once you get to that mark, though, around the plus 15 level, you do need to start contributing, I would say, to your key group a little bit, and trying to just help that way. It'll make the dungeon go so much more smoothly, I promise. When we were entering like the final boss, we had like, I don't know, 18 minutes left or something. What was this? That's Azureblade. Oops, that's way far back. When we were like heading towards the last boss, Look, we have 16 minutes left when we pull the last boss. 16 and a half minutes. So that's what it can help you do. It can help you save tons of time in the dungeons. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know if you're doing lots of damage on Pally. If you've been struggling, I hope this kind of helped you. Please let me know either way. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.